everybody, it's Crystal, and we're going to talk today about why we gave everything away and moved to Portugal. We are going to dive right in. A lot of people think we're crazy because we literally gave all of our possessions except for 6 suitcases and 2 backpacks to our kids. It was actually kind of funny because our kids said, well, your parents usually need to die to get all of this stuff. So they were very happy to get that, and we were not dead yet. Before I get into all of that, I very quickly want to say that there is a live webinar coming up in a few weeks. So subscribe to the channel and you will be one of the first to know, as there's only 500 spots and it's going to be fantastic. Now back to the story about why we decided to give everything away and move to Portugal. Everybody's wondering kind of why would you do that? And so we have friends who have taken different routes and just kind of go through all of that. But first, I'll just say that when the kids came over the first time to start taking things away, I looked at my husband and said, oh my, I'm going to need a glass of wine for this. And it took me about an hour. But after that, I started feeling free from getting rid of all of the items in our house. And we wanted so badly just to move to Portugal. We were moving pretty quick because my health wasn't well. We knew that moving to Portugal would be a game changer for us with all the more healthy food options, no preservatives, growth hormones, etc. And it sure was. So we made the right decision for us. Here's a funny little story. So we have one grandson, and at the time he had graduated college and he had a girlfriend as well. So they came over to the house and they started looking through everything. And this is when I needed the glass of wine. It's funny when you have all the possessions that you have had your entire life, that you've worked so hard to gain, and just to see it all go. We even gave our automobiles to our 2 daughters. Each daughter got one of our automobiles. And we're not saying this is the right way for everyone, but for us, it was a game changer. It really just lifted some freedom. You're going to see some pictures here. We got rid of our stuff. It was during the pandemic. So we had masks on full time on the airplane and off the airplane, and the 6 bags that we actually brought. When we got to Portugal, we hired a driver to take us to our new apartment, which we had never actually been in. And we were so pleasantly surprised. Not only was the apartment beautiful, but we had a clear view of the marina in Lagos, Portugal, where we first moved. We were exhausted, but also exhilarated. And so again, 6 luggage pieces and 2 backpacks. That was it. Later on, we shipped 3 smaller kind of container boxes with personal effects in them. And they took about a year to get. And we made some mistakes. So I'm going to just give you some tips on if you're going to send things over and you are getting temporary residency or starting that process. That's one thing you want to ask your attorney about, because we found out after the fact that there's an exception to paying VAT tax, a one-time exception when you're moving to Portugal. We did not know this, and we certainly didn't ship the right way. We just shipped right through the post office. The problem for us really wasn't the post office in the United States. The post office is a little bit tricky here, and things go through, of course, they come on a boat or an airplane, and then they get stuck in customs for a while. And when you don't know this, or you don't have that piece of paper saying that you don't owe VAT tax, they will require you to fill out forms about what is in every single box and also have you pay VAT tax. Now, on these little boxes, we ended up paying about 1,000 euros or 1,200 euros, I think, in VAT tax. Make sure you pay attention to that. Also, even if you have the certificate, you're still going to need to list every single item that comes in your boxes. Now, we also have friends who have moved to Portugal who have used different methods. We have one set of friends. It was a funny story. They came from the same town we did, and we had a friend in common, but we did not know each other until we moved to Portugal. Now they're sort of like our Portuguese family, and they packed a complete container, put it on a boat, and hired a company to bring all of their furnishings. She is an artist, so there were a lot of important paintings for her. That was a bit tricky, as she found out, because if she couldn't prove that they were her own paintings, then there was an additional tax. But it worked out eventually for them. But it took about a year for them to get that container. That may be a little unusual, but for some reason this container kept getting lost. And it ended up, they would say it's in England, then it's in the southern hemisphere, then it's back in the US, and it took them literally 1 year to get their things. So because it took so long to get their things, they ended up buying all new furniture. They had bought a house in Portugal. So by the time their stuff got here, a lot of the stuff they put in storage. So that's one story. Then we have another set of friends who simply moved like we did, but also sent some larger boxes. Now, we were able to give them a tip about getting the certificate so they didn't have to pay VAT tax on that. But it actually also took about 6 months because they used just the regular postal system. You really have to think about if you're renting and you're bringing furniture over, unless you absolutely decide you want your own furniture or new furniture, that you're probably going to be renting a house that has, or an apartment that has furniture in it. So that's a quick little story about the suitcases, real estate, and renting, and what all of that means. We have a really great video coming up next week with our favorite realtor, and she's going to give us an update of what is going on. So I want you to know that if you actually want to subscribe to the channel, you'll get the first invitation to a live webinar that we're going to be doing in the next few weeks. This webinar is going to give great information to anybody who's ever thought about moving or is in the process of moving or needs to rent or buy a house. So please subscribe so you don't miss that, okay? So we ended up landing in Portugal. We have lived in 3 different places for reasons, but 2 years in Lagos in the beginning was phenomenal, beautiful view of the ocean. It's a very walkable town. We moved to Cascais, which is a beautiful place just north of Lisbon, and we loved it. But unfortunately, I had some mass allergies there, which brought back my asthma when I was a kid. So we moved to where we are now in December, Portugal. And this is probably our favorite place that we've ever lived. Even though there's some wallpaper behind me, I'm not allowed to change. We have a view right out to the ocean, and the air coming in is so clean for my lungs that it really helps me breathe. So again, my husband and I are always here for you. We have an option that I will put the link in down below if you need a consultation for your particular situation. There's a whole lot to learn, and we've been through it. We hope that you have a great day. We hope this is helpful, and thanks for watching.